Good evening. My name is Maddie Brown. I'm a Senior Assistant Director of Admission here at Gettysburg College. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us and three faculty members, wonderful faculty members here at Gettysburg College to learn a little bit more about the first year seminar program that you will have this fall here as one of your 4 courses. First and foremost, congratulations for being admitted to the incoming class of 2025. We're really excited to welcome you into the community this fall and hope you will join us. Tonight, as I mentioned, we will learn more about the first year seminar program from the director of the program, who is one of the 3 professors tonight that will talk about the experience, the impact that this program has had on them, particular classroom experiences, the impact it's had on their students, and so forth and so on. We are recording this session, and I also want to urge you to put your questions, when you have some, in the Q&A. We will be using the Q&A rather than the chat this evening. So before I hand it over to Ian to discuss the program a little bit more in detail, just want to cover some transactional items that of course you could be wondering about at this stage. So the first year seminar course is one of your 4 classes that you will take here at Gettysburg in your first semester. If you have already committed and deposited here at Gettysburg, you've probably already received an email communication about choosing your top 5 preferences for the first year seminar. So as soon as you do commit to Gettysburg, you can look forward to that process, and you have until May 14th to choose those in your current student portal. Again, that's May 14th, so plenty of time. Now, course registration, the rest of your 3 classes, you won't choose until later in June. And then roommate selection happens in early August, as well as early August will be when you are assigned your advisor, which these folks will talk a little bit more about advising and how that kind of goes hand in hand with the first year seminar program. So please, if you have any questions as they describe the program, please put them in the Q&A and we will get to them as soon as we can. Also, I will share their contact info at the end as well. I'm going to put in the chat before I hand it off just the list of seminars that we're offering this year, fall 2021. So I'll put the page on the web where you'll find that. All righty, without further ado, I will stop sharing my screen and hand it over to Ian.
Right, thank you so much, Maddie. Hello and welcome to all of you, and congratulations on being accepted to Gettysburg College. My name's Ian Isherwood. I direct the first year seminar program, and I'm a professor who teaches in the interdisciplinary studies program and the history department. What I want to do is introduce you to the first year seminar to talk a little bit about what it is, and then hand it over to my colleagues to talk to you about their courses so that you can get a better impression of the program and the type of work that we do within the classroom. So the first year seminar is an important part of our students' experience here at Gettysburg. All incoming first year students sign up for a first year seminar. It's a curricular requirement here at the college. As Maddie said, the first year seminar is one of your 4 courses that you will sign up for in your first semester. You will work with your advisors here over the college, over the summer to kind of build your schedule. And at the start of your first semester, you will meet with your faculty academic advisor and you will also meet with other students in your first year seminar program as part of that. Often your advisor will be your first year seminar instructor. That's not always the case, but it is often the case within our first year seminars that there's kind of a core group of students that we end up advising within our first year seminar. And we'll talk a little bit later about advising and answer any questions you might have about that process. Now this year we have 47 different first year seminars for you to choose from. And you'll notice when you look over the list that there's a variety of seminars that span across our curriculum. And what they offer is each student an opportunity to follow a subject in which they are hopefully passionate about, with a faculty member who shares their passion and their enthusiasm for that subject. Faculty often they design their seminars on a subject that they hold a particular interest or passion for. It could be something of a long-term personal interest that they might have. It could be an aspect of scholarship that they've always wanted to explore but haven't yet had the opportunity to. Or it could be a subject that they just think you need to know something more about. It's an exciting kind of environment when you have a faculty member who is deeply passionate about a subject that you might have had a passion or an inkling or an interest in your entire lives. So all first-year seminars meet at least one of our curricular requirements in addition to meeting the first-year seminar requirement. That could be the first-year writing requirement, a multiple inquiries requirement, or something, but they all meet a requirement within our curriculum in addition to the first-year seminar requirement. Now, after you choose your first-year seminar, so Maddie mentioned that you should pick your top 5. And after you choose your first-year seminar, we have an algorithm that helps to ensure that you get one of the top seminars that you've chosen. And I went over the numbers from last year, and well over half of our incoming students got their first choice. And of the remaining students, the vast majority got their second choice. So almost everybody has gotten their first and second choice. So what is a first-year seminar? Well, each is different in terms of their content and their conduct, but the foundational aspect of a first-year seminar is a small class setting that fosters dialogue. The maximum number of students in any seminar is 16, and many seminars have students in kind of the 10 to 12 student range. So it's a small classroom environment, and through that small class setting, the first-year seminar is an introduction to the overall liberal arts college classroom. We want you right from the start to be an engaged learner, to learn new critical skills, to develop your time management, to learn to focus your intellectual energy deeply on a particular subject, to learn how to better research and to write, and to gain confidence in your academic abilities in your very first semester here. So the first-year seminar is fundamentally an introduction to academic life at Gettysburg College. I sometimes refer to it as learning how to college because that's part of the experience of adjusting in your first seminar. Now, beyond that, the first-year seminar is a means to form a cohort also with your other classmates. Most students end up living either on the same floor or in the same dorm as other students in their first-year seminars. And as such, you form bonds as a cohort, and this helps you, at least to some degree, really adjust to this new college environment which you're going to be in. In addition to your first-year seminar then being an introduction to academic life at Gettysburg, it's also an introduction to the residential liberal arts environment more generally. And our dedicated faculty take both of these responsibilities very seriously. We want you to grow and adjust well in your first semester and in the years beyond, both academically and personally. And indeed, I think my favorite part of teaching a first-year seminar is helping students navigate their new environment and setting them up as much as one person can to do really well here at Gettysburg College. Now, I'd like to hand things over to my colleagues. I'm first going to introduce Joanne Myers. Professor Myers teaches in the English department. She'll talk a little bit about her work. She'll talk a little bit about college advising, and then about her experience of teaching a first-year seminar. Joanne?
Thanks, Ian. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us again. Congratulations. I know some of you I think I've already decided to come to Gettysburg, and some of you are still making up your minds. So I hope you'll ask any questions that you need to really help you make a thoughtful and well-informed choice. So as Professor Isherwood said, I teach in the English department. My day job is teaching English literature from the 1700s. Don't worry if you're frantically thinking right now, what is a single book that was published in the 1700s? Because that is not what my first-year seminar is about. My first-year seminar is about immigrant literature, stories about people who emigrated to the United States. And I'll say more about it in a second after I follow up on Professor Isherwood's comment about advising, because I just want to sort of outline for you the structure of how advising happens when you're an incoming first-year student. So the first phase of advising actually happens in the summer with what's called a summer advisor, who's not going to be your permanent sort of full-time advisor when you get here in August, but certain faculty essentially volunteer over the summer to take on advising duties, to be available, to answer questions about a slate of courses that you'll choose for the fall. So as has been said, you'll choose a slate of 4 courses just for the fall semester, and then it's later in the fall that you'll choose your spring semester courses. The reason that the first year seminar gets chosen before everything else, I think really speaks to the fact that while it's a requirement and while these courses all meet a separate curricular requirement, we really do hope that you engage with these, not just as a requirement. We all know how it feels to be faced with a set of like, you must do this and you must do that. We really want you to think of the first year seminar in a slightly different light. As a course you're choosing, Professor Isher would use the word passion, and I would add to that curiosity. They're really courses where you should be curious and interested in the topic, even if it may be something you don't know much about. Because one of the things these courses are designed to do, and one of the reasons I think each one of us likes teaching them, is because we've kind of formulated a question that we want to pursue with the students through teaching the class. So my class, as I said, is called Immigrant Stories. It came about, I emigrated to the United States when I was a kid. And it took me quite a while as a kid to sort of realize that this American dream I kept hearing so much about, that Americans were supposed to be sort of, was kind of central to American identity, was not an actual story by immigrants. So I designed a course that was sort of the American dream from the inside out. I wanted actually to think about people who had made the journey to America from all historical periods, going back not too long in the 18th century, but for just a little while in the 1700s, because it is the best, sorry, I'll stop, the best period of literature. But we do read mostly 20th century stories, because the other reason I like to teach my FYS is I get to read things published after the 1790s. But so even apart from like the sort of the particular text that we read and the content of the course, one reason why I like teaching a first year seminar, and that I think is central to my course in particular, it gets us back in touch with the fundamental power of storytelling, by which people make sense of their experience, right? So that happens in my upper level courses in different ways, but in an FYS, I feel like it gives me the opportunity as a teacher to get back to sort of the core of what I study and why I think what I study is important, which is why we tell stories, and how in crafting stories, we come to understand and make sense of what happens to us in life. And I think many of us teaching in the FYS program really do see these courses as an opportunity to kind of take the more abstract and analytic things we do and make contact with their real kind of underlying purpose, and why we care about them so much in the first place. And we want to try to get you excited and curious about the underlying modes of inquiry that scholars have in sort of less formal and more engaging ways, and sometimes happens in upper level courses. So I will stop there, I think. I guess maybe, I'll say a couple of sort of logistical things about my class. It meets the first year writing requirements. So if anyone has questions about what first year writing looks like, I'm happy to talk about that. Also, I ask students to do some kind of informal networking on campus, for example, because I think that this is a time when it's great to start making connections across campus. So students in my campus have assignments to interview an instructor about their writing process, so you can learn not just what English teachers say about writing, but what economists say about writing, what historians say about it, psychologists. Whatever fields you might be interested in, I encourage you to make connections with those faculty, make connections with peers, and interview them about what makes a successful Gettysburg experience. So these courses are also places where people can do some kind of unusual assignments and less typical kinds of work than you might find in the more traditional academic courses. We also go to the Statue of Liberty, because why not? It's good to work close enough that we can manage to get to sort of the heart of the American immigrant experience. So that's a lot of first year seminars try to integrate field trips and experiential learning. So I, for example, and I can talk more about these if people are interested, have done service learning or community-based learning in my courses. I'm trying to think what else. I'll leave it there. But it's a great place to do some kind of unconventional things and to do them really early in your college career. You know, we don't reserve those opportunities just for upper level courses. So I'll let Professor Baltadonis tell you about his seminar.
Great, thank you very much, Joanne and Ian. Welcome to this webinar, and congratulations for being accepted to Gettysburg College. We really would love to see you on campus next year. First year seminar is an exciting program because classes are small. Professors teach courses that they love to teach. They design them usually in the areas of their most precious research interests. And me as an economist, I teach a first year seminar that's called an Experimental Avatar Discovering Economics. As an economist, I wear these two hats. I'm an experimental economist / behavioral economist and an energy economist. So this first year seminar really captures that first interest that I have to study human decision-making in a lab. Gettysburg College is a very unique liberal arts college because we have a specialized lab for experimental economics. We call it GLEE, Gettysburg Lab for Experimental Economics. We don't sing there, but we do conduct experiments where we try to understand how people in various circumstances make economic decisions. And it could be very personal exchange, it could be market exchanges. And we do that within virtual economies that we create. Now, I just came down from the lab right now to talk to you, where one of my first year students 2 years ago participated in my first year seminar, learned how to program experiments, how to design them, and now we are running experiments together. So in this class, what I like to do is to immerse students in these virtual economies. They make decisions, they invest, they trade, they steal from each other, but it's all virtual, right? And you get opportunities to make money, virtual money. That virtual money actually ends up translated into your final grade. So that money actually has real consequences. And then I use that data and that experience to demonstrate economic theories. Now, sometimes those economic theories end up being really great at predicting your behavior, and in some cases not. And we discuss why. And we try to fill the gaps, both in theory and modeling and understanding why that behavior is different. So as you can see, this type of seminar is really something that upper class students would do in their senior year, in their junior year. And what we love about this seminar that you get to taste a little bit of that right in the first semester. You make connection to professors, you meet other students who are passionate about the topic, and you basically learn how to do research right from the first seminar. And if it resonates, you might stick with that professor, just like my student with whom I'm working currently. Or you might say, hey, I learned something interesting and I'm moving on to something else. Someone asked in the Q&A whether seminar should be something that you're interested in pursuing your major in. It doesn't have to be. In fact, use it as a way to go outside your box, to try to broaden your horizons, right? Because this is something that you might leave then later on with the knowledge, with experience that you take away. So I have many students who take my seminar and end up declaring econ major. And then I have many students who take it and they're like, wow, this was an interesting way to learn economic principles, but I'm really interested in English. And then they go and work with Joanne, or in Civil War era studies, and they go work with Ian. So this is a very engaging opportunity for you to learn right from the first semester. So I'm happy to answer more questions later on. I just encourage you to look through your options. It's not always an easy course. Sometimes students think that this is going to be a breeze because we're just going to do something that professors like, and maybe the grading is not tough. It could be quite tough, depending on the seminar, on the dynamics in the class, and but when, for example, in my seminar, when students finish it, they have identified the question that's relevant. They formulated hypothesis. They created the design for experiment in the lab. They created the software to study it. They present it. They write the papers. So they did everything but the data collection and analysis, which is a lot. Once you have that experience, you can then move on to upper level classes and continue your Gettysburg educational experience.
Thank you, Rem. I would like to just kind of underscore the idea that you brought up, a great idea, which answers the one question about whether you should take something that is related to your major or not. And you're going to have a lot of time to take courses that are related to your major. So I would take something that you're really interested in, or something that you think is going to be maybe something that you're not going to major in, or maybe something that you know that you're not going to pursue later on. I teach, one of the first year seminars I teach is on J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. And even though I teach in the history department, very few of the students that take that end up being history majors. They take it because they're interested in fantasy literature, they're interested in Tolkien, or they, love the Lord of the Rings movies. So they take it for all kinds of different reasons, because they always want to take a class on J.R.R. Tolkien. So I'd encourage you to, take something that you're passionate about, something that you think you're very much interested in. Joanne, we've had some questions about the writing requirement. Would you like to address that?
Sure. So the writing requirement can be met in a few different ways. Some of you will be taking probably one of the AP English exams soon. Maybe you're taking it in the next couple of weeks. So achieving a score of 5 on that exam can sometimes exempt you from the first year writing requirement. So that's one way that people meet that requirement. Many of the first year seminars, both by people in my department, the English department, but also by faculty in other departments, meet the first year writing requirement. If your first year seminar does not fulfill the writing requirement, the English department offers many sections of introductory 100 level courses, English 101, English 111, English 113. Any of those will also fulfill the first year writing requirement. And I just sent a reply to someone, I slightly misspoke. You don't have to wait until the spring to take first year writing. You could take it concurrently alongside your FYS in the fall. So we have many options, both fall and spring semesters in the English department to fulfill the first year writing requirement, if your FYS doesn't, or if you don't have tough AP credit. But Maddie, I don't know from an incoming student's perspective where that information lives.
Yeah, so I'm going to it's a great question, to figure out which first year seminars fulfill that first year writing requirement. I just put a link in the chat, which is a pretty extensive page of all the courses that fulfill certain requirements at Gettysburg College, so you can read up on our curriculum goals. But if you are on the page, you would scroll about 60% down, a little more than halfway down that, and you would find the first year writing courses that fulfill that, including the first year seminars.
And, I don't think I properly looped back to the issue of advising. I kind of distracted myself. But your summer advisor, I think I talked about how you should be curious and passionate, and then I didn't get back to the role of the summer advisor. But your summer advisor, who you get in the summer, will look at any of your test credit that's already come in. They will look at what first year seminar you've been placed in, and they will help you kind of construct both a slate of courses for the fall and a plan for the spring. You won't register for your spring classes until sometime in November, late October, early November, but they will help you develop a plan. And another reason why the FYS process kind of takes place before you choose the rest of your courses is, again, because all of the requirements and kind of getting on the right track for any potential majors you're interested in will happen. It will. I advise first year students every year, almost all of us do. I've done summer advising every year since the college started about 8 or 9 years ago. We will get you on track. I don't worry that like no one will explain, you know, how the requirements all fit together and how you're expected to fulfill them. That will happen. And when you transition to your regular advisor in the fall, as Dr. Isherwood said, that person will go over your schedule with you again and resolve any concerns, and you can move some things around before you get here. We have an add drop period in the first couple of weeks of the semester so that if something isn't working out, you can make an adjustment. But the FYS should really, in some sense in your head, stand apart from all that, all those sets of requirements, because it's just a unique experience.
We have a question here that I think we should all kind of take a stab at, and that is about student support for incoming students, in particular students that have interests that are kind of broad, that are thinking about maybe double majors, that are in subjects that might not seem that related. So so what do you both think about student support, the type of support we have?
I'll start, and then Joanne can add to this. So in general, when classes are small, you can get much more attention from the professor, and we can give you a hand when you're struggling. A lot of that support will depend on you. If you seek it, you'll get it. If you don't seek it, it's going to be harder to be noticed. So be very active, and when you face the first hurdles, and we'll help you. We do have peer learning associates associated with some seminars. I know my seminar has it because there is this component where you learn how to program software. It's not quite like doing it from scratch. We use a specialized platform, but it does require learning a little bit about the code. And for some people, it does not come naturally. So there's a peer learning associate, again, who's usually the student from my first year seminar a few years ago. And it just builds on it. They know what you are going through because they went through that, and they would guide you through that process. And in many cases, the departments also have tutors that you can seek help. And so having small classes and all that support system that we just in general have at the Liberal Arts College usually is quite helpful. So I would encourage you not to be afraid of topics and areas where you think like, oh, this is not my cup of tea. Go and have that cup of tea, and don't think about the grade for first year seminar as much. You'll have plenty opportunities to worry about those grades in your major and other courses. Use first year seminar really to have personal growth experience, expanding horizons. So what if you get C or B- in that course, but if you learn something and broaden your horizons, that might really change the path on which you are set.
And if an economist is telling you that it's okay to get a B-, then I would listen to him. I would defer to my more quantitative colleagues. I mean, I would just echo everything Professor Baltadonis said. I mean, I think one of the reasons that your housing placement is often tied to your first year seminar is to give you a kind of built-in support system. There's people down the hall, or your roommate you can turn to and be like, what did the crazy lady say today? And they'll like clarify that for you. But like our department the English department just hired someone to be kind of a department-wide PLA as well, to provide the kind of support to any course that was already mentioned. I do think, as Professor Baltadonis pointed out, that being able to formulate what you're struggling with, if you are struggling with something in any of your first year classes, and being able to ask for what you need is an important skill. It's not a skill that most of us arrive with, and it's something worth practicing. But, Gettysburg is a school, a very different kind of school than the one I went to, for example. I went to a state school with about 20,000 students. You know, one thing I appreciate so much about the liberal arts environment is people see you. You know, like I know who my students are. Like I see them, even in a weird pandemic year, I'm teaching on campus, I see my students around. You know, I know them and I know when they're struggling. And people here are very good and proactive about reaching out to you, to kind of offset my point about you should be proactive about reaching out. There will be support and people care. You know, all your professors will have office hours each week. It may seem a little weird and intimidating to like go to someone's door and knock and have a conversation, but all that is very welcome. And some professors, like I, for example, will set up individual meetings with each one of my students at the beginning of the semester just to kind of break the ice and make sure that, you know, you understand where my office is and how to find me and all that kind of thing. So I think it's a good issue to raise and to kind of have in mind, but I also think that this is a very supportive, dare I say, nurturing environment where people will put you in touch with the resources that you need.
And just to echo that, I can't say enough good things about my colleagues and their investment in our students, and especially that's been definitely demonstrated in the last year during the pandemic, as my colleagues and our faculty in general, like all employees at Gettysburg College, have truly stepped up with increased duties, with increased kind of hours that we've put into the job, trying to give the same level of instruction that we've been giving all along. Now, one of the things that I didn't realize when I was an incoming college student, by the way, I went to Gettysburg College. It was a while ago, but I went here. And when I came in as an incoming first year student, I didn't know what the faculty student relationship was supposed to be like. Like I didn't know what office hours were. I didn't know if I was supposed to say hi to my professor or awkwardly try to avoid them as I'm walking across campus. Like I didn't know what the boundaries were or something like that. And I will say, like a lot of first year students, you know, I had kind of a difficult adjustment. You know, I was homesick. I missed my friends. It was not an easy kind of first semester or first year, but you know what really helped was actually going and see my faculty members, having my advisor offer me a cup of coffee and talking to me like I was a human being, right? Asking me how things are going, right? And this is stuff that we then all have kind of paid forward, that people have supported us in our careers and lives, and we do that to our students here. It's kind of a natural part of the relationship and the role of teaching at a liberal arts college. So in addition to that, we have a lot of other layers of support. So we have academic advising who work very hard to support students. We have a writing center that will help you with your writing. As we've mentioned, we have a peer learning associate program, which is like a TA program for students to be able to support. So one thing Gettysburg does is Gettysburg cares and cares well. So let's have a look at some of the other questions.
You know, one thing that I would like to add in general, in addition to having support, there are plenty of opportunities to trip and experience something new and learn from your mistakes and break things down. So what I love about Gettysburg, we have so many student clubs, student initiated activities, groups. We have entrepreneurial and social innovation initiative, where students even pitch ideas to start their own companies or start new initiatives. And there is seed money associated with that if your pitch works and people select it. So while I really appreciate the support system that you have, when I see that you're comfortable, I will encourage you also to go into that sort of area of uncertainty and know that if things will get bad, we will be there to catch you. But we do want you to go beyond and push yourself beyond the boundaries that you are comfortable with.
So would anyone like to speak about field trips, community service opportunities?
I can speak to that. My first year seminar is actually paired with Professor Kathy Kane's first year seminar in the psychology department, because Kathy is teaching a course on immigration, but on the psychology of immigration and how it affects youth and child development. So we sometimes partner and we have meetings together, or we have some discussions together. We do go to Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty together. But we also partnered a couple of years ago on a service learning project that was more initiated by Kathy, but she allowed my class to tag along. And there is an organic farm on campus called the Painted Turtle Farm, which is a project of our amazing and sort of really interesting Center for Public Service, which is largely for families from the local Hispanic community. We're in a big agricultural area in south central Pennsylvania. And so we have a large Hispanic community, sort of both including people who are here transiently, but also who have settled in the area over the last 50 years. So our group partnered with the families who use the Painted Turtle Farm to create a bilingual cookbook. So people shared with us, families in the local community welcomed our students into their homes and talked to them about their own immigration experiences. And shared recipes from their cultures, various cultures from Central America and from Mexico. And we created a bilingual cookbook where people also talked about the origin of these recipes and how they resonated with their families. And at the end of the semester, we were able to have a launch party. If I were in my office, I'm home for the evening, but if I were in my office, I could show you the cookbook, which is a really beautiful document. And while I'm talking about this, so there are a number of first year seminars that integrate community-based learning, but the Center for Public Service is another great resource on campus that I would encourage you to look into, because it provides both a wide range of opportunities for students to engage with the local community and also to take on leadership roles. You know, this isn't something where like we've evolved far past the sort of like volunteer hours that you're supposed to get in, and it's more a model of engaging with and truly trying to partner with the community that CPS encourages. So that's another great set of opportunities for you. I think I said I would answer a question from someone, and then it was about FYS 105.3, which requirement it meets. I looked it up, and it's the social science multiple inquiries inquiry. So I'm sorry, I was supposed to type that, but apparently my Zoom skills still need some polishing.
Also to highlight how diverse these seminars might be, even, for example, in terms of field trips. So in my seminar, which tries to use these virtual economies, try to understand how people make economic decisions. When it's not pandemic, we go to US Army War College in Carlisle, which is just up the street, 40 minutes or so. And we go to the strategic center where they show us how Army is using virtual realities and gaming to train their leadership, their personnel, and get a peek into some of the next generation technologies, including virtual reality that is complete immersion. And even though in first year seminar, we don't have every class where you put on goggles with 3D reality, but we do go out and see what that could look like. And so if you're interested in that, hey, come to Gettysburg, and I would be happy to work with you to actually do some of the economic research in virtual worlds with full immersion.
Rim, I had no idea we both take students to the Army War College. So I take them with a different context. We go and look at tanks and trenches and stuff like that. So, but it's kind of cool that we both take students there.
See, to each its own.
And a lot of our seminars do have field trips that they take students to a number of places, whether that's DC or whether that's New York to go to a show or something like that. The one thing that I will say is that we're not sure what the situation is going to be like in the fall. So we're hoping that we'll still be doing field trips with students, but we just can't say right now as to what travel is going to be looking like. Hopefully it'll be good. So.
Awesome. Well, I don't see any more general questions in here. And of course, I say that, and then there is a question directed to Ian, your course on Tolkien. Do you see that?
Yeah, I'm not teaching it this year. I'm teaching a new first-year seminar on George Orwell. It's called Fact, Fiction, and Fascism. And so I wanted to mix things up. So I'm doing one on Orwell, but I'll probably be teaching the Tolkien one next year. So sorry, it won't be relevant for this year, but it will be for next year.
You dangle it in front of them, Ian, and then you take it away. That's really mean. People do independent studies as well.
That is true.
So if there are no more questions, does Ian, Joanne, Rim, any other comments? Anything you didn't mention about the program? No, Joanne's really digging in her.
That's tiredness. Not directly to the program, but I just, for everyone who's still watching, we know you've had a long year having to be in high school at this really crucial time, either learning remotely or hybrid or going back and forth. Hang in there. We're really rooting for you, and we hope it gets easier, and we hope it's simpler in the fall. We would love to welcome you here, but I really just hope that you have a good set of choices that you're making right now, and you can make a choice that really feels like a good fit for you. So thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah, Rim, go ahead, please.
And to what you have heard, what I would like to add is that first year seminar is a community building experience, friendship building experience. Since you're in small class, you live together, you get to interact maybe on field trips with a professor, and then PLA. That will carry out through the Gettysburg time, and the bonds will be stronger. Be open to just be matched with these random people that are coming from all over the country and the world, and be immersed in this experience. I know sometimes it might be a little bit scary, like you lose a little bit of control. Who's going to be your roommate? Who you're going to be sharing the hallway with? Will they be as challenging as you want them to be, or as friendly as you want them to be? Take this opportunity to really let the fate decide and allow that matchmaking to happen. And you'll see how much richer your experience can be when you have that those eyes open. So I'm sure that you're going to have experience that will enrich you, and really looking forward to have you on campus next year.
And, I think Joanne and Rim have covered it all, but I just want to say that, we are all very excited to meet you here on campus. We're excited to meet you in person on campus, and we're excited for a new turn of the page for your class and for Gettysburg College in general. So we really hope you'll join us.
Certainly. And I want to thank Ian, Joanne, and Rim for their time this evening. That was phenomenal, their insights. And again, their information is right here on your screen. Really are all of our faculty here at Gettysburg College are in it for you guys. So if you look up a specific faculty member, just reach out if you have questions about their first year seminar course, or any of their courses for that matter. They're very passionate about it. So as they've all said, congratulations again. And we look forward to seeing you this fall. As you make your final decision, if you haven't already, please look on our website, look on your emails, and join us for any virtual programs or come visit our campus in the coming weeks. Thank you again for joining us, and take care.